Try this again. Just to give you an update on what has transpired, as many of you may have heard from the Secret Service, shortly before 2 o'clock today, a telephonic bomb threat concerning the room that we are now all in was called into the Metropolitan Police Department. The local police department contacted Secret Service officials who determined that for the safety of all of us, they needed to evacuate the room and to sweep it. Fortunately, here at the White House, the Secret Service maintains the resources that are necessary to quickly make the room safe and make sure that it's safe for all of us. And they did that quickly, and now we're ready to restart. Before I get to your questions, I used our brief respite to gather some more information, Roberta, in terms of answering your previous question about encryption. And I can tell you that officials at the White House have received the letter. We are aware of it, and we appreciate the input and perspective of these organizations. The administration firmly supports the development and robust adoption of strong encryption. The president himself has acknowledged that it can be a strong tool to secure commerce and trade, safeguard private information, and promote free expression and association. At the same time, we're also understandably concerned about the use of encryption by terrorists and other criminals to conceal and enable crimes and other malicious activity. But the fact is that even though some people misuse this encryption technology, we believe here in the administration that responsibly deployed encryption helps secure private communications and commerce, and that's something that's worth supporting. So,
Hey, Josh, before we go on, who covered up the cameras in this room? Because the cameras were covered up or pointed down. I mean, these are cameras that are owned by news organizations. I'm just wondering, we were all escorted out, so it wasn't anybody with our news organizations, but somebody cut off our ability to see what was going on in this room, to see what was in the cameras down. Who did that and why?
I was also evacuated alongside you, John, so I was not in the room.
Because these cameras, again, are owned by the news organization.
I understand.
And somebody has gone, every single one of them, even the ones outside, were tampered with so that we wouldn't be able to see what was going on in here.
Okay.
Josh, was President Obama or his family in any way impacted or evacuated?
They were not. This is the only room in the White House complex that was evacuated.
So you were evacuated as well, though. So it wasn't exclusively this room. Who beyond this room, or how far outside of this room, did the evacuation go into effect?
Even when I said that I was evacuated, I left the room at the same time that all of you did.
So you stayed in the White House.
So it was safe to be in the room adjacent to here, but physically not in here.
I was not in the room adjacent to here, Peter. I went back into my office.
Which is
So let's just do this one at a time. Okay.
Yeah. So just to be clear, so this room was evacuated. Was the lower press room adjacent to us evacuated?
So yes, it is considered part of the press area that the White House press operates. So the staff that works there came into my office while the room was swept.
Was any staff outside of this room, the adjacent room, evacuated? Was any senior staff or any other staff within the White House evacuated?
No, it is not. It is my understanding that no one else was affected by this particular.
Is it concerning that the evacuation, the call came in?
Let's just do this one at a time, okay?
The call came in at 1:53, Josh, according to the Secret Service. The evacuation took place, as you witnessed with us, at 2:14. So more than 20 minutes passed in that time. Is there any reason for any concern in that delay before the evacuation took place?
No, this is a decision that was made by Secret Service based on information that they had received. I don't know how long it took for that information to be transmitted to the Secret Service and for the decision to be made to evacuate the room. But again, the evacuation was conducted to protect the safety of all of us.
And what was the president doing at the time? Even if he wasn't impacted, what was he physically doing while we were evacuating?
I'm not sure exactly what he was doing. He was here at the White House, but I'm not sure where he was.
Okay. Do you know if he was in the Oval Office at the time?
I don't know exactly where he was. He was here on the White House grounds.
If this was a serious enough threat, it was a bomb threat, right?
That's my understanding.
If
yes.
it's serious enough to move us all the way over to the executive office building, why would the president not be moved out of the White House?
Well, again, Chip, I can't. These are obviously decisions that are made by the Secret Service. They did that in the interest of keeping us safe. But I suspect that part of the reason for moving you to the South Court Auditorium was because that was a place where you could be inside and be in the air conditioning. But that's what they're trying to do, is make sure that they could quickly clear the room, which they did, and allow us to all come back here and go about our business.
The president was never in any danger, as far as we know.
Certainly not that I'm aware of. Okay, go ahead, Josh.
Josh, do we know if there's any indication that this incident was connected to the security incident that we saw on Capitol Hill today?
I don't know. You should check with the Secret Service about that. Okay, go ahead, John.
And Josh, you said you were evacuated, but you mean you just went to your office?
That's correct. I was evacuated from this room like all of you were.
Can you remind us how close your office is? I mean, it's right down the hallway.
It's not far away.
So it's just hard to imagine why a bomb threat that would necessitate evacuating this entire room wouldn't affect the rest of this West Wing complex. It's not a very large complex.
It's not a very large complex, but John, I can't account for that. Okay, go ahead, Julie.
Just quickly, can you tell us how it is that the rest of the West Wing could have stayed in their offices while we had to leave? If it had been a bomb, is there some sort of fireproofing, bomb-proofing that exists between here and there?
I don't.
Them to stay while we had to go.
I don't know all of the security measures that are in place to protect the White House. Even if I did, I'm not sure I'd be in a position to talk about them from here. But for a question like that, I'd refer you to the Secret Service.
Can you tell us what they did in here before they gave us the all clear and let us come back?
My understanding is that they swept the room, which typically involves the inspection of the room by some experts, and I know that they had canine units in here as well. But for all of the activities that were required to clear the room, I'd refer you to the Secret Service.
For explosives.
Correct.
Josh, is this your
Josh.
background?
Hold on, let's just do this one at a time. Go ahead.
I want to go back to the question I was asking before we were evacuated.
Wait,
But
can
if
we
anyone
just-
else,
Can we
if
say
anyone else,
evacuation?
Could we just say, could you
Okay.
find out where the president was and whether he was moved?
So I know that he was not moved, and we'll see if we can get some additional information about where he happened to be at that time.
Josh,
Go ahead,
I
April.
want to follow in on the line of questioning about proximity. So you were told to shelter in place, correct, in your office?
No, April, I was asked to leave the room in the same way that you did.
I'm saying in your office, were you told to shelter in place? Because you said...
No, I was not told to shelter in place.
Okay, so we are just feet from your office and feet from the Oval Office, and also feet from the residence. There's a close proximity. Was anyone else told in the residence maybe to move or over here to shelter in place while this was going on? Because it seems like it was a very serious scenario that they had gone in offices, gone under desks, had dogs walking through, and then no one was told to move or shelter in place, except for lower press.
Well, April, I'm sharing with you all the information that I have right now, which is that based on a threat that the Secret Service received from another law enforcement organization about the press area at the White House. The press area at the White House was evacuated for the safety of all of us, and the Secret Service, using resources that they keep here on the complex, was able to quickly search this location and conclude that it was safe. As soon as they did, we were able to all come back in the room and pick up where we left off.
But they moved us. We went outside. You say it was to keep us cool, but I don't think it was. We were out there. You were in your office. We went to Pebble Beach first, and then they moved us further down into the next building on the campus and moved us even further back. It wasn't for coolness. It was because of a fear. So my question is, with the proximity to everyone and everything here, the seat of power just feet away, and they were not moved. But we had to be pushed all the way back. There's something not jiving and not mixing. It just seems odd.
Okay. Well, April, for the questions that you have about decisions that were made by the Secret Service, then I would encourage you to contact the Secret Service, and they can maybe get you a more specific answer to your question than I'm able
Secret
to.
Service to break into a briefing, which they don't, if they had to think about it coming in, because I watched them, they had to think about stopping the briefing because of the severity and no one was moved. It's just, it doesn't sound right. I'm sorry.
Did you talk to the president since the
No, I did not.
evacuation?
Can you just
Okay.
clarify, was he in the West Wing? Do you know?
I don't know, but we'll see if we can get you precise information. He was here at the White House, but I don't know exactly what room he was in.
Just
We ready to go back to our regularly scheduled programming?
are we?
Go ahead,
Can
Vicara.
you say any more about the nature of the threat as it relates to law enforcement that would necessitate a limited evacuation here at the White House? Or the potency or power of whatever it may have been?
No, I'm not. I don't know what information was transmitted in the specific bomb threat, other than the briefing room was identified as the location of that of this purported bomb. But
And it
I
was a
am.
bomb, though, not a
that's-
sort of agent or...
Yes. Again, that's what the Secret Service said was a threat. Go ahead, Michelle.
Does it concern you that if the bomb was in the building, that you were so close to it, potentially, and does it concern you that if the bomb was called in as a threat that somebody in the press corps might have had on their person, that the entire press corps was then kept together in a small area well away from the White House? I mean, do either of these scenarios raise questions in your mind?
No, I have complete confidence in the professionalism of the men and women of the Secret Service to make judgments about what's necessary to keep all of us safe. And That's what they did this afternoon. But for questions about why those decisions were made and how they were made, you can direct them to the Secret Service. Okay. All right. We ready to move on to other topics?
Not yet.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Josh, you said the president was not moved today. Have there been occasions in the past during his presidency when he's been moved into the PIOC?
I'd refer you to the Secret Service for any
You know of
for
it
answering
yourself,
questions. Off the top of my head, no. But that doesn't mean that it didn't occur. So I'd encourage you to check with the Secret Service to confirm that.
And there was no bomb, right? Just a threat.
Well,
They didn't discover something and deactivate it. I mean, there was nothing found.
that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Okay.
Josh, were any
Go
other
ahead.
members of the Obama family at the White House at the time that this all took place? The girls or his Michelle, First Lady Michelle Obama?
I don't know the answer to that, but we'll check on that for you, Tim. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Julie, back to you.